Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be making these jumpsuits. If this is something you would like to see, stick with me to the end of the video. So I've got my fabric and the zip I'll be using to make the jumpsuit. And these are the measurements I'll be using to cut the jumpsuit. I've cut out this pattern 13 inches by 43 inches. The 13 inches is the lap divided by 2 plus 1.5, and then the 43 inches is the full length 60 minus the half length, the waist length 17, which is 42 plus 1 inch. So I'm measuring the length of my crotch. My crotch is 13 inches plus half-inch allowance, which I will join to the top. So I'm now removing 1.5 inch. This will be the crotch extension. So I'll connect this 1.5 inch from the crotch length to the waist, and then draw a curve to connect it. So this is going to be my crotch curve. The next thing I'll do is go to the waist and measure 1 inch in from that 1.5 inch line. After I mark the 1.5 inch, I'll connect this to the curve, and then from the 1 inch line I'll take my waist measurement. So I'll take my waist measurement. My waist is 29 divided by 4, which is 7.25. So I'll just mark that on this fabric as well at 7.25. After marking my waist length, I'll add 1 inch. This is for my joining allowance. I'll add 1 inch to it. So I'll take the measurement of my hip length. My hip length is 25 inches from the shoulders and my waist length is 17. So I'm just removing the 17 inches and then measuring 25. So that's plus my allowance, measuring 25 inch, and then at that hip length, at that length I've marked, that's where I will mark the hip measurement, which is 40 divided by 4, 10 inches plus 1 inch for my allowance. And then the lap measurement, don't forget I cut out the pattern based on the lap measurement, so I don't need to mark anything here because this is the measurement I want for the lap. So I'll connect the waist to the hip line. I usually use a straight line to connect waist to hip for trousers, just trousers, trouser pattern, anything that is a trouser pattern. I would use a straight line or slight curve to connect the waist to the hip. Okay, so I'll just connect those two lines together and then connect the waist to the lap, and this is my hip line. So I'm just using my hand to adjust how I want the shape to look. Next, I'm going to cut out the crotch line and the hip line and then split it open. So I have two patterns for the front. So the front dips by 1 inch at the midpoint. So at the mid front, it dips by 1 inch, and then I'll go in by 2.5. So I'll just 1 inch in from the actual measurement, and then I'll just connect that together. But I won't be cutting this. I'll need to place it on the back pattern. When I have marked the back pattern, then I'll cut it out. So I've cut the back pattern 2 inches wider and 2 inches longer. So it is 15 inch by 44 inches instead of what I had for the front pattern. So I'm going to pull this down a little. So it's going to be 2 inches longer at the top, not at the bottom. So I'll pull this 2 inches lower, the front pattern 2 inches lower. I'm just using the front to cut the back pattern, but it's going to be 2 inches higher and 2 inches wider. So I'm connecting the crotch length 2 inches forward, and then the top is just going to be at the midpoint, that is going to be longer than the front pattern. Everything else is the same. I'll just trace what is different. So I'm going to trace out the curve for the crotch curve for the back pattern, and then connect the back pattern. So where the curve for the front pattern stops, that's 1 inch into the actual measurement, I will connect it straight down. So I'm trying to use a different color of chalk so it's obvious what I am marking. So I'm just going to mark the curve. So this is the front curve, it dips down by 1 inch, and then the back, it goes up by 2 inches. Okay, so those are the different points, so everything else is the same. So I'll just cut out my pattern. Then for the side of the back, I'm going to make that half an inch bigger because of the zip allowance. I want 1 inch zip allowance at the mid back, so I'll just make that half an inch bigger to give me 1 inch at the other side, because I already have half an inch allowance at that side. So I'll just make that half an inch bigger than the front pattern to give me that space, and then I will just trace the crotch length the same measurement. So now I have my front pattern and my back pattern. Then I've cut out pattern big enough to take the bust measurement and the waist length measurement. The first thing I'm going to do is to take out 2 inches from the top because of the spaghetti strap that my pattern has. So I took out 2 inches. Next, I'll start applying my measurements. My armhole length is 7 inches, my bust length is 10, my waist length is 15 plus half an inch, which is 15 and a half. It's 15 because I've taken out 2 inches from the full length to give me the waistband. My waistband is 2 inches wide. Okay, so my round waist is 29, which is 7 and a quarter plus 1 inch allowance. So I'll connect that to the armhole length, the bust length, because I already cut out this pattern to be my bust measurement divided by 4 plus allowance. Okay, so I'm doing the neckline. I'm doing 2.5 inches wide and then 4 inches deep. So I'll just draw a curve to connect this, and then from the curve I'm going to connect it, draw a line to connect it from the neck curve to the round armhole. After connecting the line together and I'm okay with the shape, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the pattern. So this is the front piece of the top pattern. So next I'm going to cut out the back pattern using the front pattern. So my back pattern is going to be 1 inch wider than the front pattern. So because of the zip allowance at the back, so I'll take the front piece and place on a fabric that is big enough to take the measurement plus my 1 inch zip allowance, and then I'll just trace the shape out of the front pattern. So I'm going to measure the neck for the back, which is going to be 3 inches deep. So I'm going to remove the 2 inches and then make it 1 inch lower. So I'm going to mark that. In the next video, I'm going to be showing us how I joined this jumpsuit. Please follow me to the next video. I hope this video has been helpful and easy to follow. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you all for watching, and see you in my next video.